The Shift is brought to you by SE Healthcare. Welcome to The Shift. I'm Dr. Andrea Coyle. Welcome back to the next episode of the Shift podcast. Today, I have a close friend who not only is a close friend, but also close in proximity. She's from the great state of South Carolina. TK Curtis-Pugh is the executive director of the South Carolina Nurses Association, and I'm thrilled to have TK on the show. TK, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Andrea. I'm excited to be here and always happy to be with another fellow South Carolinian.
That is right. And today, we're just going to riff like we always do. TK, you shared a couple things with me that I think are really important to share with our shifties. And I'm going to take your words, but I'm going to let you expand on it. Okay. CNA to CNO.
Yeah. I have been really, really blessed in my career. I started off my career in as a political science major, actually, and I got a degree in political science with the idea of going to law school. That was my plan. I'm going to law school. I'm gonna be a lawyer. That's what I want to do. And I started working, doing school, trying to make sure I did a little odd jobs here and there to support myself while I was in school. The product of a single parent home, and my mom was amazing, but of course I had to find ways to continue to support myself financially. So I started working in a hospital, and I was just doing staffing and scheduling in the hospital at the time, and kept finding myself really, really enjoying the space. It's like, I like it here. I like seeing the patients and waving at them and seeing them getting better and all of that. And my mom's a social worker by trade, so I've always seen people who care. It's just kind of what I'm accustomed to. So I asked my leader at that time and said, what do I need to do that I can maybe pick up some shifts as a CNA? And she said, well, you need to go through a CNA program, but we have one here at the hospital and they pay for it. Go figure. So I took that opportunity and got a CNA and started working in hospitals and just finding myself growing in those spaces. And over the course of my career, I worked as a CNA, and then on the same unit, which is one of the things I love so much. I worked for one of the large health systems here in the state. And from that unit, I was a CNA on that unit. I became an RN on that unit. I became an assistant nurse manager on that unit. I became the nurse manager on that unit. And then I became the med surg director of that full service line. So, and from there transitioned into a CNO role in a rehabilitation hospital. So it was just really a kind of progression that I couldn't design it better if I tried. It really gave me the foundation to be the type of leader that I want to be now, and that I try to be each and every day now, that understands that everybody matters and everybody's role is vital to us being successful in healthcare, patient care, and overall taking care of people in the state.
Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing your story. And here's the other thing, and we didn't even, I swear, shifties, we did not even script this, but my career, first of all, I am from a single mother as well.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and so I understand. I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday. Shout out to Monica Hamlin. When you often, but not always, are a single, the child of a single parent, you have to work hard. And in many ways, you're a survivor because, you have your mom, mostly mom's raising, working really, really hard. And so you watch how they work hard, and then you adopt that work ethic, but you work hard for everything you have because sometimes there's not a lot of extra money around. So you learn quickly how to be a survivor, and you learn quickly how to be scrappy. And the other thing that's really interesting, TK, is my background is med surg, adult med surg. Yep. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah. We did not script this, but I mean, it's really interesting. And then TK, you went from being the director of med surg to then being the chief nursing officer. And then recently you made a shift from being a chief nursing officer to the executive director of the State Nurse Association of South Carolina. What triggered that shift?
So the first thing that triggered that shift is I was a board member for years. So when I became a nurse, the first thing that I did, actually at that time, we actually had student membership. And I was a board member for the Student Nurses Association of South Carolina. And I was already so engaged in the work that as soon as I got my RN license, I became a member of the South Carolina Nurses Association. There was an opportunity. One of the previous leaders that was supporting the student nurses reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have a board position that I need an appointment for, and I think you might be good for it." So we talked about it, and I wound up taking that appointment to the board. So I already had the knowledge and understanding of how vital it was to be a member of the state association, but then had the lens of the work that the state association was doing. So from there, I've always been a member, never have not been a member, always never lapsed my membership. But beyond that, I have a 2-year-old. So, and I've been with the association for a little over 2 years. My 2-year-old will be 3 in August. And I was working as a CNO in a hospital, working grueling hours, running up and down the road, never knowing what my day was going to look like, dealing with family concerns, dealing with patient concerns, dealing with staff concerns, all the things. And there was a day that I got a call from my daughter's daycare that she just wasn't feeling good. It wasn't anything major. We found out later on she had a little ear infection brewing, but she just didn't feel good. And I thought to myself, I'm I'm not there. I don't have that flexibility because I've got to make sure this hospital continues to stay grounded. Fast forward, the previous executive director had been in the role for 37 years. Phenomenal woman. Her name is Judy Thompson, and we actually have an award now named after Judy that we call the Nurse Accomplice Award because Judy was not a nurse, but advocated for nurses for 37 years. So Judy retired, and there was this search that went out for a new executive director. I just happened to see it. No one reached out to me, no one told me anything, and I saw it. And it was my sign that this is my dream job. And I always knew it was my dream job. I knew that. Having a background in political science, so the love of policy, and then being a nurse who is so passionate about this profession, I was able to marry the two, and now I do health policy for a living. So that shift was, in my opinion, a aligned moment that I wasn't prepared for, that I didn't know was going to happen. It was just supposed to come. It was supposed to work. And then that alignment connecting with my passion for what I do every day. So it was a very smooth transition for me here.
Yes.
Was not as smooth of a transition for me in the actual work because coming from hospital leadership, CNO leadership to association management and leadership is very different. Very different. The layers that are in the hospitals are very different than what you have in association leadership. But I would not trade this for anything in the world. It's really the best thing I could have ever done for myself, for my family, and I think for myself professionally in my career.
So there's a couple things I want to add to that, TK, and thank you for sharing that. One thing is, first of all, I really want to say thank you for role modeling work-life balance and putting your daughter first and your family first, because often as women in healthcare and women leaders, we find ourselves torn between career and family, and that balancing act can be very difficult. And that's why SC Healthcare, I'm the Chief Clinical and Innovation Officer. We're focused on burnout. And often women, not always women, but probably more often women, we are the CEOs at our house. If mom's not happy, no one's happy.
Correct.
And then we come into these roles that are very challenging, very time consuming. And some people don't really have the emotional intelligence to set boundaries. And when you can't set the boundaries, you become burnout. So I want to applaud you for doing that, because
Thank you.
a lot of people would not do that.
Well, let
And
me
the
just
other,
say, Andrea, I wasn't
yeah.
always there. This was growth. I just want to make sure I don't want to sound like I just had it all together. I want to be honest because when we talk about shifts, that shift also had to happen in my mind. So thank you for that. But just know that I had to get to this place.
Well, I was going to ask you that, but you teed me up perfectly for this, TK. Was there a point in your CNO role that you found, because you had to set boundaries at home with your newborn, with boundaries you have to set in the work environment, were you starting to feel frustrated, anxious, not able to sleep, irritated, lack of self-efficacy, all those mental and emotional exhaustion? Were you starting to feel the signs and symptoms of burnout?
Check, 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 check. So I remember being in a meeting and saying to myself, I have no idea what they're talking about. I had been in the meeting, that same meeting 100 times, and could rattle off everything I needed to rattle off, metrics, staffing ratios, all the things. But in that moment, the only thing I could think about was, I'm tired. I don't know if my baby is feeling good today. I've been up for the last 7 hours and it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, those types of things. And what I realized was I wasn't adding value to the organization, and the organization wasn't getting their best from me. So I've always been a person that believes that whatever work that I do, however I do it, whether it's community work, whether it's volunteering, whether it's my paid work, that I've got to give my best to it every time that I do it. I want to show up each and every time in a way that is, my mom always says this little term, she says, we operate in the spirit of excellence. So I always want to operate in the spirit of excellence, meaning I show up to do the work. I'm going to do the work with passion and heart and be engaged and fully present. And I wasn't fully present anymore. And I remember going to my CEO and I said, my work isn't what it used to be. I'm not the person that I was a year ago. I'm not fulfilled anymore and I'm not happy. And then that resonates with my team. So with that, and I remember my resignation letter was very much, I appreciate the opportunity. I've enjoyed my time here. It's been one of the greatest experiences of my life, but it's time for me to focus differently. Now, when I left that role, and I did not mention this, but when I left the CNO role, there was a gap between the time I left the CNO role and the time that I started the ED role. And I didn't know what was next in that moment. I just knew that if I could not add value to the space, and if I had more angst about being at work than I did about being at home, then it was time for me to make that shift. And that's what I did. So that was the light bulb moment for me, just sitting in that meeting saying, I don't even know what's going on here. I'm not here. And why would I hold space? Why would I hold space that someone else could be taking up and doing it the right way if I know that I'm not there anymore, physically, mentally, emotionally, I'm not there anymore. So it was the right thing for me at the time.
I love your vulnerability and I love your transparency and telling the story. And I think your message is so powerful. The other thing I want to say is I am a burnout survivor. You are a burnout survivor. So I want to tell all shifties, burnout doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't go away. It's not, it just doesn't come up on you. It's all these things that happen, and managing burnout is not easy. But you have to have the emotional intelligence to recognize in yourself, and you have to be able to look deep within and say exactly what you just said, TK. I'm not my best, and the people I'm leading deserve my best. And it works
100%.
the same way at home, because I remember my children are close in age. They're in college now. They're 18 months apart. So I had two little ones at home and I was back at school getting my master's degree, and I was working full time as the professional excellence director. And I remember crying thinking, I'm giving 10% to my kids, 10% to this, like 10% was all over the place. And I was not my best. I could not sleep at night. it was very difficult. And I finally had to recognize where I wanted to channel my energy and how and when I wanted to set boundaries. But this
100%.
is growth. You said that it is growth.
Does not happen overnight. And Andrea, I'll tell you the other thing for me when when I think about burnout, and there's talks that I've done in the past because I do a lot of uh, national speaking as well. And when I'm talking to folks sometimes about this topic, I liken it to this. When you are walking around and just say you pick up everything that's attached to you. You're walking down the hallway, you're walking everything, but you're sticky.
Hmm.
That's moral residue because we want to show up for people all the time, right? But we keep showing up and we pick this up and we pick that up and we pick this up and it sticks to us and we don't let those things go. So the burnout comes from I'm carrying the load of all of this stuff for all of these people. And where am I in this? Because at some point in time, I can't carry this load anymore. And when I realized that I could come to work every day, I could make a difference in my profession every day, I could add value to the world and to nursing every day and still show up for my family and still take time and show up for myself and still hang out with my friends sometimes because we need that to pour back into ourselves. Do all those things. It was like the light bulb went off like, why weren't you doing this all along? But it was because there was a part of me that, we talk about, compassion fatigue and all the other things that come along that build up to burnout. It was because I was carrying all those loads together. There's a song by an artist, her name is Erica Badu. And
I
the
love,
song,
oh my God, we are soul sisters. I love Erica Badu.
okay, so I'm a fan of hers. So she has a song that's called Bag Lady.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
the song is the lyrics in short are bag lady, you're gonna hurt your back, dragging all those bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you all you must hold on to is you. That is what burnout looks like for me. I was carrying all the bags of everybody's stuff and taking it and carrying it and carrying it, and I never held on to me. And now I have the great opportunity to hold on to me while I hold on to nursing, while I hold on to my family, and all the other things that are important to me.
Yeah, you just dropped the mic. Episode's over, you drop the mic. One thing I do want to say, TK, about that is what I like to say is all those bags, the bag lady, it's the weight that can't be measured on a scale.
Not at all.
When you're carrying everybody else's problems and you're trying to fix everybody's concerns, everybody's issues, and that keeps piling up and gets heavier and heavier and heavier, you can't weigh that. You cannot weigh it on a scale. And that's it's a very suffocating feeling.
It's a great way to describe it. It's suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Yes,
is. It
it
really is.
really is.
But
Can
when
you
you
quickly, let's say it again?
but when you get out of it and you can breathe again,
That's right. That's right.
good, good.
If you could just share with the shifties one lesson learned, and I think your whole bag lady story was a lesson, one lesson learned, and then one thing that excites you about the South Carolina Nurses Association. Let's do that first. One
Okay.
thing that excites you about the South Carolina Nurses Association.
So one thing, wow, there's so many things, but one thing that excites me about South Carolina Nurses Association is we have reinvigorated who we are.
Ooh.
For a very long time, the association was doing the work, but kind of quietly. Kind of no one knew what was happening. We'll advocate for this or, offer some professional development here and there, but nobody really knew what was happening. And someone said to me, who's a leader of a very large association, I won't mention who it is, but this person said to me, TK, I always knew SCNA existed, but I kind of thought of you as like a little gnat. Like they were there, but it was like buzzing around. You don't really pay any attention. He said, but all of a sudden, like you're everywhere that I am. SCNA is on everything that I'm doing. you guys are really, really doing the work. And I said, yeah, we are. So what's exciting me about it is that it's our time. It's our time. We are showing up for the profession. We want every person, every nurse to become a member of the association because membership has its privileges, number one, but also these are the folks who are doing the work for you each and every day to make sure you can go out into the world and do what you do. But most importantly, that we are showing up and people are seeing it. So that's what's exciting to me right
Oh
now.
my gosh. And it's so exciting. I can literally hear your passion and excitement.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
I love it.
So good. TK, I have an idea. In our great state, because we live in the same state, I think I do a presentation called Reignite, Inspire, Support, Empower. And it walks through some of the things we've discussed. I think that you and I should do this presentation, Reignite, Inspire, Support, Empower, for leaders in the state of South Carolina.
I love it. I love it. It's needful and necessary work. Sometimes people don't understand. People who are in the thick of it don't understand that they're burned out or they're
Right.
on their way to burn. They don't see it. They're just tunnel vision getting it done. But it's so needed. And like you said earlier, there's so many nurse leaders, especially women, who keep showing up and are just taking all these things on, but we don't have a balance. I don't believe in work-life balance anymore. It's work-life integration. How do I make these things make sense and work together? They got to be harmonious in a way that one doesn't take from the other, one supports the other. Yeah.
Well said. Well said. TK, I admire you. I'm so glad you are a shifty now. I would love to have you come back for a second date and be on the podcast again.
Okay.
And I always end every episode, TK, with shifties. Remember, your shift makes a difference. Keep shifting. Enjoying the shift? Help us reach more nurse leaders by rating and reviewing us on your podcast app. It takes just a minute, but makes a big impact. Search for The Shift, tap those stars, and share what you love. Your feedback shapes our future episodes and helps others discover us. Remember, rate, review, and amplify The Shift today.